You've done it again. It's time for Colette and Matt have entered the chat, a weekly conversation about video games and video game communities and video game technologies and video games that we love to play. And according to my notes here, this week's episode is about our favorite goatees. So I'm just going to kick it off. I'm going to say Michael B. Jordan, best goatee in the biz. What about you?
I was like, goatee. I've literally never heard anybody call it that before. Goatee.
That's just what I have written down. Goatee. We're talking about goatees today, and that's goatees. What I have. What's your favorite goatee?
Is this a sports question? Because I don't do sports.
No, like goatee, like it's where you have a mustache and a chin beard, but no beard. Michael B. Jordan being the actor, not the famous basketball player.
I am not a facial hair person, honestly. But if I had to really give it to anybody off the top of my head, it would be George Michael. Rest in peace, his soul.
Yeah, for sure.
A person of perfect goateeness.
For audio only listeners who can't see Colette, she is not a facial hair person. She does not have any facial hair. I can confirm based on what I can see from here. And you can confirm it too if you hop over to youtube.com/@ Colette and Matt, right? That's how YouTube does URLs now. It puts the @ in there, yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay, very good. So I see you brought your gay pride mug today, which
yes.
You would only know that if you were watching the show, by the way.
So it is a rainbow mug that my wife thrifted. She and we all, who doesn't love a good, beautiful rainbow on anything, a mug or a t-shirt or whatever.
Agreed. Also,
and I assume when this was created in the 1970s or 60s, it was probably not a pride mug, but today it's a pride
mug now. Mm-hmm. Also, I'm realizing this is the second time I've commented on a mug that your wife thrifted, so I think I like her taste.
We don't have any matching housewares in the house anymore. It is all just vintage thrifted things.
That's awesome. I love that.
They're very fun and colorful and beautiful, but none of them are allowed to go in the dishwasher. So I would say 94% of my waking hours are spent hand washing dishes now. Very little time to do work or parenting or video games, unfortunately.
That's so interesting. And I do not want to get too far off this topic because I feel like I might hyper-focus, but that in like the 70s that like cups and stuff with prints was not, I guess it wasn't being made dishwasher safe in that time period.
I'll clarify by saying this is not a mandate about the dishes themselves. This is my wife's policy and mine too of like, hey, these are such beautiful,
take good care of
unique
them.
Things that cannot be bought on Amazon.com. So if they were to fade or chip, that would be the end of those. So we just kind of take care of them that way.
Fair. Okay, that makes a lot more sense because I was like, I have a pretty big mug collection. Most of it is modern, but I don't, there's only one or two that I can't put in the dishwasher. So she just is talking about longevity, which is different.
Yeah, we're just trying to keep them. But I mean, look, the downside of all this is that we are drowning in things, and any cabinet you open will just an avalanche of rainbow mugs will fall onto your face as you try to make coffee in the morning. And that's,
I do not think this rule will work for her, but I will share it just because. So we have like one of those IKEA pegboards above our coffee nook, and that's where I put all my cups.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. I have to show you a picture. It's awesome.
It's nice because you can kind of see all of them and then choose, as opposed to like, maybe the one I want is like buried in the cabinet, but you can't actually get to it. So
honestly, like people comment on it all the time when they come over, and I didn't mean for it to be aesthetic. I meant for it to be functional, but it ended up being aesthetic anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
But that said, our rule is we cannot buy another mug until we break a mug, because every possible mug space right now is full. So that is the rule. And if we see a really good mug, we will discuss, should we throw one on the floor and break it?
I mean, look, if you get to break one as like this sort of like religious rite of like, it has to, this ritual has to happen in order to bring a new mug. I'm actually super into that. None of that will fly in our house, but I subscribe.
I love it.
Look, our names are in the title of the show, but I will reiterate them for, I don't know,
someone, just in case they think that you're Colette and I'm Matt.
The search robots and AI bots that are crawling the transcript of this episode. For those robots, my name is Matt Silverman, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Colette Bennett. Hello.
Hello. It's amazing how much we can cram into 5 minutes and 57 seconds that are not about video games.
Let's keep it going. So, top 5 goatees. Obviously, Michael B. Jordan. You know Michael B. Jordan.
Yes, but my brain is half awake, so it hurt my.
No, I know. We're recording in the morning. I have coffee in my Pride mug. Are you a coffee person or no?
I like it sometimes, but I didn't have enough time this morning, so my backup is called Mio. It's a thing you squirt in your drink, and I really like it because it's quick and it's nice during the summer when I'm like, I don't know if I want to make an iced coffee from scratch.
Is it a caffeinated thing? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you just add it to water and then and what does it taste like?
Berries, but there's like a whole bunch of different options. Yeah.
Okay.
We used to do Celsius, which I really like, but it's like a solid 200 milligrams of caffeine. So
right.
It's great, but you're going to be really wired for the rest of the day. At least I am. So this is, I think, like maybe 50 or 60. It's more like a cup of coffee.
Right. Great. Yeah. Oh shoot! I didn't load up my my sounds today, so I'm gonna start doing that as we discuss. But why don't we recap? This is part 2 of our game of the year. We've split it into 2 parts. We have made our top 5 lists, and we have shared honorable mentions, which we don't have to recap yet here. But you and I have shared our number 5 and our number 4 on the previous episode. Today we will be concluding with our top 3. So as I gotta load up the Zelda sounds. But why don't you get started with where we left off last week?
Yep. So Matt said last week, we went all the way up to number 4 of our top 5 of Game of the Year. And for me, my top 5 pick was Mouthwashing, which had a story so superlative that I just could not put it on this list. I saw an analysis video about it, which I think I mentioned last week, and I just couldn't stop thinking about all of the layers and all of the thoughtful touches in this game. It's really just some killer storytelling. Yeah. And then my number 3 was No, I'm Not a Human, which also had some killer storytelling, but I have to hand it for atmosphere. Atmosphere-wise, I thought it was incredibly fascinating to play. And also to me, it felt like it was one of those concepts that was not too far off from reality. And it just made sense to me that, there would be a day in the future where one day the sun is so hot we can't go outside anymore. And so that was the setting, but it just had such a great
that
feel.
Is a metaphor for social isolation, pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it brought, and I think I said this last week, it brought back pandemic feelings to play it.
Right.
Which of course,
I don't look, I didn't play the game, and I can't speak for the author of the game. I don't read that as necessarily a global warming, because that's the sun, the temperature of the sun isn't changing. That it's about the carbon, it's about the atmospheric conditions of the earth. So whatever that metaphor is, I don't perceive it as literal, but man, the pandemic vibes. And I have been, since you've discussed it, and you talked about it when you were playing it, and then you talked about it here, and then I have been hearing quite a bit of chatter, like in various year-end discussions about various communities and podcasts, where it's like, this game is, I wouldn't say it's a breakout hit, but it is a sleeper,
an indie
thing that people are really, really talking about.
Yeah, I think also, like, total shout out to the music, the color use. The game was very green when it first came out. When I played the demo, and then I noticed that got tweaked a little bit. But it was so interesting how that kind of army green like soaked into everything you looked at, and it gave you this feeling of like heightened despair. Like I remember after I played it, I thought, I don't want to buy this game because it made me feel so uncomfortable. And then I thought about it for about 48 hours. And then I was like, I can't actually stop thinking about it. So I think I am going to buy this game, but very interesting, like to want to buy a game that makes you uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah. Not too often does that happen to me. So
I mean, those were my two. What is horror? We've discussed this at length, but like, is horror media that you seek out in order to feel uncomfortable? Would you classify it that way, or is this something different?
I think it's different for everybody. Like for instance, let's just say that your taste is like the AAA blockbuster, summer movies type style, and you're very into jump scares. So if you're into jump scares, yes, it's possible that you're getting that adrenaline rush from jump scares, and you are scared when you're going to see those movies. I think that jump scares are 99.9% of the time cheap as fuck, and I think that there is so much better like horror storytelling to be done that's like not cheap as fuck. So I do not gravitate towards those movies. I gravitate towards slow burn psychological horror situations in movies, games, and my books.
But doesn't that make you feel uncomfortable? Isn't that the feeling, or no? Discomfort.
It makes me feel intrigued. It does not make me feel discomfort anymore. It is very hard with the amount of horror that I consume. I think it is very difficult to get me to feel uncomfortable. I just read this book at the end of last year called Wake Up and Open Your Eyes by Clay McLeod Chapman. And I had never read his stuff before. And the premise is basically that he doesn't use these words, but basically the premise is that the right goes insane from the media that they're consuming, and basically like,
so real life.
Yes. And I think that was an incredibly difficult read for me and did make me very uncomfortable, but I also couldn't put it down because the writing was so good, because it is so grossly close to what I feel like is happening like in the world. So that was a real banger. So that made me uncomfortable. But for the most part, I would say most of what I consume, intrigue comes before feelings of discomfort.
That is such a good and fascinating distinction. Discomfort versus intrigue. Didn't understand it till you just explained it. And now I'm like, oh my God, totally different. I get it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's always been this way. Like I remember when I was probably early tween age, and my parents had this big wood bookcase in the living room, and I don't know if my grandmother is maybe part of a book club or something, but that is where I discovered Stephen King books and started just reading I think I read Night Shift, and then I would just I read every book that was on that shelf that he wrote, and that was kind of where my interest started. So
love it. So I am, again, I just so intrigued, to use your word, about I am not a human, but I don't know that I want to. It will spill over into discomfort so easily.
I would say that, and this is something that I have absolutely utilized more in the last year. If you have any interest just from a story perspective, watch a playthrough.
Yeah, totally.
There's a guy I watch who I really, really like. I'll have to send you a link to his stuff, but he plays like 90% horror, and sometimes it's just nice to watch a playthrough of him playing a game versus me buying the game. This game I knew I wanted, but I do that more often now with especially heavy narrative games. Like I thought about Look Outside, which got a lot of like attention last year too. But in the end, I ended up just watching him do a full playthrough of it. So, and it's kind of a post-apocalyptic situation as well. So,
remember when internet video started to be a thing, like really a thing, and so many game developers and companies and other media organizations were like, if you put video of our game on the internet, no one will buy our game. And like that reaction, I don't fault them for that reaction. Like that's a normal reaction to like protecting your intellectual property. And isn't it so fascinating? It is so fascinating to me how like that's such a valid fear and criticism, and the total exact opposite is actually what happened as we all as a society started to understand what internet video could be for media.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like with the case of Look Outside, I didn't buy it, but in the case of many games that I play or watch my favorite horror streamers like play, I actually do buy those games more likely than I don't buy those games.
Exactly.
So yeah,
I have to see raw gameplay. Now, I'm not watching the whole game. I just want to see like what does a human being touching this game look like minute to minute, so that I can decide if the game is right for me to purchase.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I mean, yeah, it is interesting because if you think back, I guess 15 years, like that just didn't really exist, you know? And it was like if you got lucky, you had a demo for a game. I don't even know
screenshot in a magazine or a demo or a box cover or a review, which reviews obviously super valuable, but that's just one person's perspective, and it's just funny. Yeah. I not to go too far afield, I am really, really thinking about this a lot in terms of our current moment in media. Because I'm constantly reminding myself that like whatever we think about the technology of our moment, what actually will result from that is going to be totally different and imperceivable to us. When social media began, it was like, this is so good. It is so good to connect people and bring people of interests and demographics together because they wouldn't normally be together, and now they can connect. And that is obviously still great. But the unforeseen consequence of that is that we did that on for-profit platforms that inshitified them to the max. And we just could not foresee that happening. And then it totally happened.
Yeah, no, there was, I mean, I guess you would figure like, oh, you know, someone's going to take advantage of this thing.
Of course.
But I wasn't thinking about that in, say, 2012, 2009. Like, no.
I don't know about you, but like when I started getting into media, I felt like such an evangelist. I had regular people in my life, friends and family, that were like, Twitter, who wants to do Twitter? And I'm like, no, it's so fun because it's like you're hanging out with people and it's funny and it's interesting and you have this community. And they were like, oh, well, I don't know, whatever. And then now if you were to say like, you know, should I get on Twitter? Should I get on Instagram? I'd be like, hell no. Not because the idea was bad, but because the business model.
Different.
Anyway, we don't have to beat this to death. But I guess I am just thinking, we thought that online video would damage video game sales, but in fact, it has skyrocketed. It is just so. I guess I'm saying like, we are moving through the looking glass on algorithmic and AI, and we don't know what's going to happen. And it could be awesome, and it could be fucking terrible. And we don't yet know. And we are allowed to make choices while we move through the glass.
Right.
Personally and societally, I hope we make the right choices this time, I guess is maybe what I'm saying.
Me too.
Anyway, top 3.
Video games. I must remind you that you did not recap your 4 and 5.
Oh, that's right. Okay. 5. My number 5 from last week is Wildgate, which I will remind the audience is the best co-op spaceship crew game, in my opinion. And it is currently / recently was free on Epic Games Store. I don't know if that's still the case as of when you are listening to this, but many people were like, "Whoa, I didn't know about this. I wasn't gonna pony up for this game, but now that it's free, I'll snag it." And I think the player base has gotten a nice boost from the freeness on the Epic Store. So if it's still free and you care to use the Epic Store, do grab this game and keep it in your back pocket because it's excellent. And as I said last week, I am sad every day that it is struggling to find its place among live service communities because it's so good and it just needs more game modes and it needs more appeal for players that just want to play solo and hang out rather than like wait for 32 players to queue up and be with randos and be at a disadvantage because you're not on voice chat, et cetera, et cetera. So Wildgate is excellent. It is a game that I had enormous fun with in 2025. And my number 4 is the incredibly stupid game Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is so damn fun to turn your brain off and punch all the things. And as I probably mentioned last week, is a landmark technical achievement in my opinion. The destructibility of the entire world in Donkey Kong Bonanza is just so creative. Maybe I'm thinking of it in my mind again now, and I probably said it last week. Like, what if the entire world was made of Play-Doh, and then Nintendo is just like, go nuts, and that's this game, and it's just so cool.
I love that. I still maintain that they they have such polish with their first party stuff, and I'm having such a moment right now. They never they never, like, to me, disappoint really with first party. I mean, there's some first party that I'm not playing that they've made.
First party platformer, mascot platformers, it's rare that they will drop the ball.
Yeah, I think I just really love the polish. You know, the polish is so much fun to me in their stuff, and I don't play all of it, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel as if if I'm going to play a Nintendo first party platformer, I'm going to have a good time.
Yeah.
That's how it makes me feel.
Even if you don't get super invested or obsessed, you will have a great 40 hours spent.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So if you go first, it's you, me, then I will end the show. If I go first, then you will end the show. So what is your preference?
You can end the show. I don't care. That's fine.
Okay. Are you prepared to reveal your number 3 game of the year 2025?
Yep.
Here it comes.
Hades 2.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it was inevitable that Hades would be on this list. Hades 2 would be on this list.
Not necessarily. Because my question always to you, I've asked you many times, is it just more Hades? And does that deserve a slot? And clearly it does.
No, it's not, in my opinion. And yes, I think it does deserve a slot because as addictive as Hades was, I think that they could have just made more Hades and it would probably still be really good. So what I think they did was a balancing act of when you have a game that has worked, and what they did is they kept in place all the things that worked really well about that original game, and then they embroidered on it. So there is innovation in the game, despite the fact that the things you remember from Hades 1 are there. And what I really liked is that I think there's a lot of sequels that are made for the sake of success of the original. Right. You know, like, oh, we've got a thing. Okay, we need to make more of that thing, you know, and then the next thing you know, you're on the ninth game in a series and they're not really that great anymore. the writing and the way the story dovetailed into the original story was, in my opinion, like killer.
That's
Like
cool.
the story of for those who might for any chance not know, you're playing as the sister of the main character from Hades.
Right.
And the situation that you played in Hades, this is after that. So some things have happened and they're not great. And you are definitely going to be trying to fix those things, trying to be as obscure as possible here, for people who maybe have not played it, because it did go into 1.0 late last year. I played the
That's
minute
right.
it went into early access, so I've been playing it for a while, but yeah, like the official full now has endings release was late last year. So in the first game, you ascended from the underworld to the world above. In this game, there are two paths, and you have one that leads up to Olympus and one that leads down to back to the underworld. So in one of the paths, you are making your way back, although it's not the exact same path you ran in Hades 1. A lot of it is different. And then when you get to the very end, then it's the same, but you're running in a different direction than you were. So they even changed things like that around. So for instance, like once you reach that area, there's the one part where you're like, oh, this looks familiar. And then it goes into a totally different part because things have changed, right? Totally. So it's like you're in this area, but things have changed enough to where and this is in the tagline for the game, so I don't think this is the spoiler. You are there on the bottom route, you're there to beat your grandfather, who is Kronos, who is the god of time. So things have really changed down there, and he's basically overthrown like your father's kingdom.
That's cool.
It's very cool. It's very, very cool. So and then
not to get too nerdy, but I'm sure this is explained. Kronos is a Titan, which is like a primordial god, which then and then somehow the pantheon of Greek gods came after the Titans. But the Titans are still around, but they're like sleeping, but then they come back or something. And I think it's pretty sick that they included that shit in this. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, like if you know the Odyssey, if you know like your mythology, like you're gonna be like, oh wow, like they really brought so many characters. And the nice thing is that it's so rich, the source material is so rich that in this game they could bring in a ton of new characters.
Yeah.
And they work great. Like there is also a Titan fight in the top route.
Sick.
So that's like another
regarding
thing.
The routes, and maybe you're about to say this, but like, do I choose which route and that's my route for the game and then I have to play it again to do the second, or does the game require you to do both routes to complete the game?
I mean, completing the game is loose, right? Like, for instance, you could call it complete if you killed Kronos, but you could also, because you can stop really wherever you want. But I mean, for the absolute complete story version, you would have to complete the top and the bottom routes.
Okay. So clearly it's not like you get to a road diverging in the wood and then you have to choose one or the other. It's not a binary choice. You can come back and forth between them.
You do make a binary choice at the beginning of each run. So at the beginning of each run, you can go up or down, and you can choose your, like, you know, just like original Hades, you choose your weapons in a specific area, and you choose all your stuff. But the addition of magic in this game is what gave it a lot more depth in the battle system. And so it's kind of like the battle system you know from Hades, and then magic layered on top of that, which makes Mel, the main character, really powerful. So that was a lot of fun for me.
And to clarify, let's say I choose going down for like 5 runs, and then I'm like, man, I'm getting annoyed about this. I'm getting a little bored / frustrated here. Then on my 6th run, I can go up and just have a new enemies, new environments, and kind of mix it up that way.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe in the beginning of the game, up is blocked, and then you hit a point where you unlock it.
Yeah, cool.
And it's not that far in, so you get to a point where you then have multiple run options.
Honestly, if the two paths are quite different in terms of whatever the skills you're using or the enemy types. That variety is, I don't know, that's very appealing to me. As someone who bounced off Hades at least 3 times because I got frustrated / bored of doing the same things over and over again, you are suddenly making me think a little differently about Hades 2. This is cool.
I do think it gives you some really fun variety. And, also one thing I personally really enjoyed about the original Hades and this game was the entire situation with how your weapons are obtained and then leveled up. Okay. Because their level up doesn't just make the weapon stronger. It often sometimes transforms it into a completely different weapon with completely different stuff. So for instance, there's an axe in this game and you have that axe for a while, but when you get the ability to start upgrading it, there's a point where it becomes a scythe. Yeah. And then you have a completely different moveset because of that. So that's real fun because you're in mid to late game at that point, but you're able to do completely different, familiar but completely different things with
and are those transformations linear and required, or can you say for this run I'm using the scythe and for this run I'm going back to the axe because it's a different moveset? It's modular like
anytime
that.
you want.
That's super cool.
Anything you want to change. And then I think this fit well with the theme of Mel being a spellcaster, a witch. Yeah. You have familiars in this game too, which I thought was really nice.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
They come with you. They can be leveled up too. They all have different skills. Some of them are quite handy in the late stages of the game because those can get leveled up too. So you have Freenos, who is your frog, and he's your starting one. You have a cat, you have a crow, you have all these different ones that you can open. And I really liked that little bit. I do think it's super funny though, and I just have to say this because we're talking about it, that with the cat, that if you bring the cat with you, the cat will attack your opponents, but after it's finished attacking, it will go to sleep. And for you to have the cat help you again, you have to run through it and wake it up multiple times in every level. So the attack is powerful, but I was like, wow, that is so cat.
No, I'm out. My finger was hovering over the buy button. And then when you said that,
like, fuck that cat.
I took it off the wish list. Yeah.
So I will say that I have finished quote unquote Hades 2 and that I have beat Kronos and I've beat the boss, the up top boss before 1.0.
Yes,
now, what that meant was I had finished it, but there was no story to see. So now I have to do it again in order to get the final story, which I have not seen. Okay. Also, in Hades 1, once you beat Hades, the game was not over. It actually kind of just opened the door to, oh shit, now I have to come up here and beat him 5 times to get the full story, right? Because you're having all this dialogue with him. As Zagreus, the main character, is having all this dialogue with him while you're having these fights. And it's about your mom and finding her. So I'm assuming that probably will be the case in this too. So I did want to specify that even though I have technically finished the game, I have not finished and seen the added story since 1.0. So I need to do that. I would say I've probably played 80% of the game at this point, but I did feel like it was worth putting on my wish list, or on my end of year list, much like the original. I spent hundreds of hours in it.
Yeah, it's great.
And just loved it and had so much fun. So I do think that it got really rained out by Expedition 33 this year. The first time that when they came out with the first game, it just won everything.
Yeah, and this year, Silk Song. It was all these indie darlings kind of came out, and I do, and I'm guilty of this too. It was oh, it's more Hades, and I'm sure it's great, but are we going to be going hard on analysis or awards or whatever? And yeah, I mean, it obviously deserves the praise.
Yeah, I mean, it has all the quality of the first game, and it does still have innovation in it for me. So I do think that. Yeah, it is still really standout, but I have not looked at its awards list for the year, but I just don't think that it won the crazy amount of accolades that Hades 1 did.
Remember when Hades 1 came out and it was the entire industry was whoa. And everyone everywhere was like, this is the game. This is the greatest. And in the years since, how many, not clones, how many popular games have borrowed and homaged from the format and structure of Hades?
So
many.
It originated a whole genre for sure.
Yeah.
It was
and
a genre
now you
starter.
have Hades 2, which is like, oh, right, okay. Another of those. And yes. So yeah, I'm truly, you really are making me think about it differently. Every time we talk about this stuff, I'm like, I'm gonna try Hades 1 again.
Hades is not easy. It is not easy. I personally do find that, and you might want to consider this just for like getting used to the tactics and stuff. There is a mode called God mode that makes the game easier. And in Hades 1, I used that mode until I got really good at it, and then I turned the mode off.
Yeah.
But I think it can help. That said, you do still have to know that each run is going to result in some point in you hitting a wall, learning from the wall, and then coming back and having the satisfaction of passing the wall because you've learned from the wall, right?
Yeah.
So like there is going to be, I think you have to love the way it feels to play the game in order to be okay with all of that cycling.
And right? I mostly do, but there's something about it that always felt very slight, very airy. The combat to me doesn't feel as crunchy and satisfying as I thought it would on paper. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's not bad. And obviously many people get into the flow state. I think it's the combination of like, I never quite grabbed the flow state of Hades. I feel like I was inches away, but not quite there. Right. I also feel like I had some, how to put this, visual, there's a term in game development. It's like visual clarity. Like there were because there's so many like walls and pillars, and hey, I'm in this zone, and the enemies are green, and these walls are green, and these pillars obscuring the enemies are green, and the projectiles are green, and I'm like, where am I? Where are these guys? They're flying at me. I don't know. And I'm dead. And now I got to do that again. And I was like, oh, and I've said this on this show so many times, getting to Meg, beating Meg by the skin of my teeth, like just barely one hit point, eking it out and being like, yes. And then realizing I had to do that again. And I understand that you get, like, I love incremental power gain. Like that's why we all play games. But I achieved the goal barely, and then I got sent back to the beginning, and then I had to achieve the goal again, and I didn't level up enough to like really do it. I was like, got lucky on the last run, and then on the next version where I was supposed to be more powerful, I got my ass kicked in 2 seconds, and I was like, I'm supposed to be strong now. I'm supposed to be seeing the new things, but I'm just getting my ass handed to me. And there was just time. If you're plotting that on a graph, my brain is like, I'm supposed to be going up at all times. And I was sort of slowly going up and then getting spanked back down unexpectedly.
And that didn't feel good.
That right there for me was the rage quit. I was like, no, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so interesting what you said about the greens, because now I'm thinking about it and going like, oh yeah, I think I know what section you're talking about. I wonder if I fired it up, what I notice now about the greens, because I've never had issues seeing the creatures, but maybe it's because I've done this so many times.
And I don't know. It can totally be just getting used to it and getting good, of course. But like, I felt like there were certain areas, not many, not all, where I was mashing buttons and did not really know if I was effectively making contact or chipping away at enemies effectively. I felt like I was just flailing around and sort of getting it, but not really fully getting it. And that's not a great feeling.
No, you want to feel empowered. Like for me,
yeah.
fighting in Hades and Hades 2 was just a blast for me.
Totally.
Like nonstop fun. Even when I got my ass kicked, because I'd go, oh, I get it. This character, or this if I make this tweak here or here, or if I do this or this, then for instance, Meg won't become a problem. And then at the point at which I was beating Meg, like she was literally just like a regular like enemy in a regular room,
which is so cool.
Right. That's and great. Then you feel like empowered by that. But yeah, I feel your point. And there is in Hades 2, there is one boss that I have fought maybe 50 times at least. And she still is such a bitch. Like even with my super powered, my strongest shit, I'm like, God, this fucking bitch. Like I will get stuck on her still all the time because she's just really strong and really fast. So it's not, it is fine to bounce off of it. I do think though that you did mention simplicity kind of like in the controls. And I will say that I think because I'm a retro gamer that I actually really enjoy simplicity in controls. Oh, yeah. Like I hate when I play a game, like Fallout's a perfect example, any Fallout game. And it's like, every button is utilized for one and sometimes two things if you're holding down another button. I hate that shit. I hate having to remember all that, and I can't remember it anyway. So for me, I think there's something a little bit retro about Hades' original
I like that
moveset. But that becomes more complex in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming in Hades 2.
Yeah. Wait, I had one more question about it, and I'm now blanking. Yeah, I don't know. It's gone.
That's okay.
Gone forever.
That's okay. I'm done. I'm done talking about Hades anyway.
Hades 2 is Colette's number 3 game of the year, 2025. And now I will click the button to reveal my number 3. There's always a little delay on this little Zelda effect. My number 3 game of the year is Hurdling. I've talked about it before. This game is a very spiritual experience. I am not a spiritual person, but there is something, it just felt very powerful, emotional, warm, and there is no dialogue. There is very little text. It is just one of those journey-ass games about, as we've discussed, you are a child who finds this magical creature. They're not magical. They're not supernatural, but they are fantastical calicorns. They're like wildebeests. And you find one in this rundown city, and then you are just compelled somehow through the forces of nature to take the creature out of the city and lead it somewhere. Home, away, to safety. It's just it's not clear, but you just go. And you use a staff to kind of, and the controls again are super simple, but you are pushing, not physically, but you are guiding the creatures. And as you go, you are solving very light environmental puzzles using your character and the sort of abilities of the creatures to solve environmental puzzles in order to find other creatures, and you are then amassing a herd of creatures. And then what really struck me, I really expected it to be like, there's no damage, there's no hit points, there's no death, there's no whatever, you just kind of go. And when you realize that's not the case, that your creatures are at risk and can be hurt and can actually die if you make wrong choices, that becomes incredibly tragic, and you just feel responsible and guilty, not guilty, but just truly sad. And the way it treats the death of your herd and what that means for the herd is real. I found it to be really, really powerful. And then there are, I think the magic of this game also is that there are moments where you make your way through dangerous situations and you get through very tight spaces, and then you make your way out into these beautiful watercolor landscapes that just like expand before you into the horizon. And there's this mechanic where if you run through certain colors of flowers, it gives your herd like basically like a stamina boost, and you hit a certain button and they can suddenly like all run together. So you make your way out, you see these mountain vistas, and then you hit the blue flowers and it's just like zoom, and the music swells and you're just like running out into the field into this like flow state. It's not, like if you see like a surfing game or one of those games where you're like surfing through the landscape, it is a little bit like that, but it's like a giant it's a herd of these giant beasts, and some of the beasts are like huge creatures and some of them are juveniles, so it's like this mix of like parents and babies, and they're all just running together and you're guiding them, and it just is a very special game, and it affected me deeply. And I've talked about it. You can feed them, you can heal them, you can pet them, you can clean them because they get dirty and they get like thorns and thistles on their fur because their fur is very bristly. So you there are no like health bars or stats, but you can clearly see when one of your creatures is in distress or bloody or dirty, and you can hopefully find things in the environment that can like tend to them. And that you just form a bond. You name every creature, so you can just dice roll a generic name or type in a name, whatever you want. So like obviously the game is creating these like very personal bonds with each creature. And then the idea of any of them getting hurt or lost or killed is so devastating that you become so cautious and aware of the environment, and it just does everything right. It's great. And it's not long. I don't know. It's probably 7 hours or something, whatever it is.
Just having this conversation again and hearing it on your game of the year list, which I'm not surprised, because I feel like whenever you've talked about this game, it's been obvious that it had a huge impact on you. And this game is such a Colette-ass game in every possible way. And I remember what happened when we first had the conversation. I downloaded the demo, I put it on my stuff, and I was like, I'm going to play this. And then I forgot, and a bunch of other stuff rolled in.
Totally.
And it's now on sale, actually.
If it's on sale, don't even do I'm sure the demo progress carries over, but like I'm 100% confident you're going to hit the end of the demo and be like, I gotta keep going. And then you're going to uninstall the demo, then reinstall the game. Just fucking buy the game on sale and cozy up for a 3-hour play session and just do this thing, man.
Yeah, I have to, because I, not only really value your opinion, but I just look at it and I'm just like, oh my God.
It's 100%. It is Journey without the multiplayer. And I don't know that this game, I'm not asking this game to be a multiplayer game. I don't know how it could be. It's not that sort of game.
Yeah.
But it a herdling 2 where you're out in the open world and other herds are moving around would be cool, but I don't know if that's what this will ever be. But yeah, man, it is. Am I gonna play this game again? I don't know that I ever will, because
I think that's okay.
It's okay, and it can't be the spirit. It cannot be the emotional and spiritual experience it ever was on the first time. I don't think. Right.
That's how I feel about Journey. I have replayed Journey, but nothing will hit like the way the first time I played it.
Right. And I'm just observing my own habits here and noting that like some of these games are like, I gotta play this for 120 hours and it's my obsession. And this is a game that's like, I will never look at this again. And it still is on the list as like one of my favorite experiences for sure. So awesome. Herdling, get it on sale. It's just so great. And I don't remember who the developer is, but I hope that they make more of these things, you know?
Okomotive, I've never heard of them before.
I don't know if it's their first game.
It's not. They made a couple of other games, one called Far Changing Tides that looks like it might
that's right, which I never played, but those are very well regarded. And Panic publishes this. Yes, Far, Lone Sails, and Changing Tides, which are also, they're side-scrolling sort of like, hey, make your way through a very big environment and level up your sailing steamship or whatever. Those games appeal to me, but I'd never got there with them. So yeah, they're just, I don't know. This studio seems very special to me. So I hope they find big success.
Yeah, same. Fantastic.
All right.
Okay.
Number 2, Colette Bennett's number 2 game of the year 2025 is
Silent Hill F.
I knew it.
Yeah, the top of my list is not real hard to guess, to be honest. Yeah. And man, what a rock solid year. Jesus, like,
right.
To have so many things in this year that I was like, wow, I was really just awed by this. Yeah, and you know, I remember seeing the first trailer for Silent Hill F, and I remember my gut feeling, which I didn't want to open my mouth about because it just seemed almost blasphemous, was I feel like this could be like Silent Hill 2 level good.
Right.
And Silent Hill 2 is absolutely on its own level, you know, nothing like it existed in that time period. Right. Nothing touched that topic of grief, you know, quite like it did. But this game, I've talked about at length on the show before. I don't feel the need to talk about it again, despite the fact that myself and some other friends of mine that played it felt like playing it through 4 times for the full story experience was a bit of a slog. And it was a slog for me, especially by the time I did the 4th playthrough.
Okay.
That said, I don't know if there would have really been a good way to tell the arc of the character story. I liked the idea that you had to go through the experience multiple times in order to fully experience her story, because she is so locked into a life, a world that functioned in a certain way at a certain time, and where women really served men. And that was the expectation.
This is 1960s Japan. Is that accurate?
I think that's accurate. Yeah. 60s Japan.
Okay.
But, you know, for her to kind of go through this arc of, you know, you are going to be promised to this, and it's kind of fucked up, right? Like her parent situation is also a part of it, because her dad's a gambler. He's spent too much money, and they're in debt. And by marrying her off into this well-off family, it will help to get rid of the debt that he has. So there are scenes where, and he's a drinker and he's violent. He doesn't hit her, but
it's such a fucking dark, fucked up premise to begin with. And that's,
and like Rikishi 7, who wrote the Higurashi When They Cry anime, which is like, you know, much beloved and very dark. When I heard he was doing this, I was like, I think he might be one of the only writers I can think of in the public space that could actually understand, fully grasp that Silent Hill is not a town. I mean, it is to us in some ways, but Silent Hill is a state of hell in your mind that manifests in a certain way, right? And I think that moving it to Japan was a absolutely brilliant move on their part. They used so much. The visuals were lush and gorgeous and terrifying. Like, you know, I loved the way that they tied like spider lilies, which are this beautiful vivid red, into like guts and like breathing like horrible. Like all those things just worked so well. All of it worked so well for what she had to go through. So for me, like Silent Hill really at its heart is about like psychological torture over something unresolved that you don't know how to off charge. Like, and I feel like that was great here. But, you know, one thing I will say about this versus Silent Hill 2 is there is no way to have a happy ending in Silent Hill 2 really, except for James to come to some sort of I mean, he you know, the game is quite old. I don't think it's a spoiler for me to say that he murders his wife because she's dying of something like cancer.
Right.
And he doesn't want to see her suffer anymore. I don't think there is any happy ending or I came to peace with what I did ending for that game because he killed his wife. And there's just no way around that. And this game is not happy in like the full, like if you play the full, all of the playthroughs and you get to the point where you really see her evolve and change and start to stand up for, you know, I don't want this life. I don't want a life where I marry someone that I hardly know just to save my parents' skin.
Right.
I want something different. I think as a woman, it really resonated hard with me too, right? Because I'm not alive in a time period where I will be forced to marry a man, but I very much recognize that is not only not that far behind me in history, but there are also places in the world where it's still happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
A friend of mine told me who she works for a nonprofit where she writes like stories about things happening in the world. And across like different countries. Yep. And she was working on a story the other day about child marriage. And she told me that one child gets married to a man over the age of 18 every 5 seconds.
Cool.
Somewhere in the world. Right. And I was like, fuck me. So I think it really, for me.
And that's just at the White House.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, this was so incredibly satisfying to me in so many levels. Storytelling, acting is superlative, setting is superlative.
And did you play with Japanese VO or English?
I think I played Japanese for the first playthrough, and then I switched it over to English later just to hear the English performances, and they were fantastic.
They're good. Wait, and just to put a bow on the ending stuff, like. Obviously, not happy is too strong a word for any of these games, but is there a positive ending that is sort of the best outcome for her?
Yeah, I mean the arc,
and it's not guaranteed. Like meaning there are multiple endings, and other endings are more tragic or sad or something.
The way that they there are, but the way they set it up is interesting because when you finish the first ending, it's pretty bleak, and then that ending opens the path to the next ending, but they are in order. And so even though you could potentially fulfill, and what's interesting is you have a screen that'll be like, you've unlocked this ending. These are the things you'll need to do in order to fulfill ending 2, 3, and 4. So you could do them out of order, I guess. And then there's the 5th is the UFO ending, which is canon for Silent Hill games and is just fun and not story related at all. Everyone has a UFO ending. Where it's all blamed on alien invasion, which is great. it's real fun.
Is that just like a dumb developer Easter egg kind of thing? Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know any of that.
There's a really famous scene for the UFO ending in Silent Hill 2 where James has gone through all this horrible shit and he murdered his wife and whatever, right? But if you do the UFO ending, he opens a door and he finds a room that's all like control panels, and in it there's a Shiba Inu.
Oh, you did tell me about this.
Yeah. Great. And James goes, "So it was all your work."
That's so great.
It's so great. I love it so much. I actually have a shirt that says Inu End on it. Inu is Japanese for dog with the dog's drawing on it. And I love wearing it because if someone knows, they really know. They're great. Oh, Inu End.
So in F, is it like, okay, you got the sort of sad ending, and then what? You rewind time and do it again, and things are different, or no?
You don't
it's not like parallel
timelines. But what happens is there's four story specific endings, and as you play each one, she gets. How do I put this? She becomes more aware and gains more courage to the point to where she's able to throw off more of being kind of brainwashed into, you're a woman, this is your job in society, this is what you have to do, etc. And by the time she gets to the end, the last playthrough, she's so angry that she finally is able to really cast off this kind of false self, I guess is the way. I don't. It is technically a spoiler for me to say that there is like kind of a face off between herself, she and herself, like a mirror of herself. But that is going to happen where she has to face herself and like accept what's there and decide whether or not she's going to live this life that's been mapped out for her.
Right.
Or and so that's why I say I think that despite feeling a little bit repetitive, playing it through 4 times felt like the very slow coming to awareness of a thing that you must do in order to stay true to yourself. Mm-hmm. And if it had happened in 1 playthrough or 2 playthroughs, I don't think it would have felt as impactful.
Totally. And don't they like accelerate the playthroughs? Mm-hmm. Like it's not quite New Game Plus, but it's like, hey, you don't have to slog through everything. You can skip a lot of stuff.
In the first playthrough, she goes through a ritual which is extremely violent and extremely symbolic, I think, of a woman like, giving up herself to tend to a man's needs is like, that's kind of her job, right? And then in the second playthrough and onward, you no longer have to go through that ritual. It's already happened and it kind of skips forward in time. Yep. And then there is also a purified sword that you can get that makes fighting very fast.
Okay, great.
So that's kind of how they worked with not making it feel, so heavy. But I do not think I would feel the same about the game if those 4 playthroughs did not exist. For her to have completely
which is great.
Different.
That's high praise.
Yeah, it really was. So loved it. The best feeling in the world for me to play one of my favorite franchises of all time in a brand new game and feel like, oh my gosh, this is everything that I've dearly loved and missed about Silent Hill. So yeah, that was just priceless for me as a longtime fan.
Final question about it, which might be cracking open a can of worms here, but I did not fully understand until now that it was such a feminist female story. You know what I mean?
Written by a man.
That's my question for you is like, it's great, but in 2025 and 2026, I feel like we are at a point where it's like, if we're writing about women, then it should be
women be writing about women.
Meaning like it's such a like female disempowerment struggle. Shouldn't that like this? It's not the same. So it's adjacent, but it's like, hey, I'm going to write about racism, but I'm a white guy writing about Black oppression, and
right. And that I've talked about that being in the publishing industry, that being an issue. Yeah. So yes, very good point. I think that this is one of those situations in which I will give it a pass personally, because first of all, Ryokishi 7 is older because Higarashi's been around for quite a while, and I think he was much younger when he worked on that. But I got curious and I was like, oh yeah, like he's been around forever. How old is he? And I believe he's in his 60s. So I feel like he lived through this time period and saw a lot of what happened around him.
But from a male perspective, and I'm not totally saying it's bad. I guess I'm just saying like, should if you told me like an old guy wrote a story about a young woman's struggles, that seems sus.
Right. It seems sus. That said, if he hadn't executed it so perfectly, I might have agreed. But right. To be a woman who has dealt with my fair share of issues about what it's like in the world to be a woman, and to feel as seen and as recognized as I did in, even the little tiny things about, her journey, I think, and have always thought that while I believe that a story about the Black struggle should be written by a Black person, I think that it is possible for a man to observe the way men have treated women and the struggle of, the gender's oppositions and what's expected. I think it, for whatever reason here, it worked.
And my hope is that there were script consultants and historical people, scholars and women who were like, wait, actually do it this way.
I haven't read about that in great detail, but it is my guess that there absolutely were. The conversations with the Chinese team that actually made this game that we were like, no one knows who the fuck they are. Like, oh my God, who are these people?
A Chinese development team?
Mm-hmm. Huh. Yeah, the so Ryokishi 7 wrote the story, of course, but the team that made the actual game, Neobards, so they were given the story, but they developed the actual game. So
this is fascinating.
Yeah, and I remember
an old man writing a story about a young woman who is Japanese, made by a Chinese game developer. Like, okay. All right.
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? Because it's like, I don't know, and I wish I could see the documents of like the story, like how much of the setting was Ryokishi 7 and how much of the setting was dictated by Neobards. Like, how did they weigh into that? Did they just kind of execute on what they were given? Or
sure,
like,
it's highly collaborative.
Yeah, I mean, they put some videos on the Konami channel of them talking about the process, but yeah, that part is really interesting too. So, would I prefer a woman to have written it? I would have, but I, off the top of my head, can't think, and not to say that there isn't one, it's that I don't know them, of a Japanese female writer working in the media space that understands Japanese culture. Like, I would be more upset if a Japanese person had not written this story, because there's so many things in it that are very specific culturally that would have not worked for me.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's like, typically I would be like, well, I don't want to read a book. I was even peeved when they got like a man to be like the voice actor for my book, for the voice actor, but to read my book. I was like,
the reader, yeah.
Right. I was like, it's an audiobook and the main character's a woman, but you have a man narrating.
Yeah,
that
that's weird.
Make any sense. It was and is. But in this situation, I feel like there is something about the kind of darkness of what Silent Hill is that I knew that Ryokishi 7 would grasp. And so because he did choose to put it into the kind of story he did, it makes me admire him, in all honesty, more than I already did. So that's kind of my whole take on it. But yes, I'm sure there's people on the internet arguing that a man never should have written a story about, a woman's struggle to have an identity in, 60s era Japan. And I mean, I could see why that would upset some people. I don't know why it didn't upset me, but it didn't.
It's a tough conversation, because it's like there has been criticism of other media where it's like, I can't think of a good example, but it's like, this is a terrible example, and I'm not citing a specific instance, but it's like, Steven Spielberg shouldn't be the maker of this movie because he's an old white guy. But it's Steven Spielberg, arguably the greatest director of a generation. So like, that's what makes the movie good. And I see both sides of that.
All I know is that whatever was researched here, whatever research was done, it worked on me to the point to where I felt that my experience as a woman was recognized.
It's very impressive.
So,
Yep.
There's that. So,
there we go.
Silent Hill F, number 2.
Silent Hill F is Colette Bennett's number 2 game of the year. Here is the music for my number 2 game of the year. I'm looking at the sheet. It's going to be surprising. Probably not. It's Thunderfolk.
Ooh, okay. I didn't know that Thunderfolk was going to make your list. That's pretty good.
Thunderfolk is so freaking great. It's so well made. It's so well executed. And it might be the single only video game that we have ever played as a family where every single moment is a group conversation about the game, about the players, about the stats, about the characters. Because, if you, in your family, with your partner, spouse, kids, whatever you are doing, you're playing Mario Kart, you're playing Mario Party, you're playing whatever, I don't know, Split Fiction, which we didn't do. We didn't play that. You've got your controller and you're looking at the screen and you're driving down the Mario Kart track, and that is a ton of fun. and you're enjoying the game. And maybe you're trash talking, and maybe you're, nudging your brother or sister out of the way so that they fall off the ledge. These are all couch co-op games. But the richness of the conversation, it is a tabletop game. It is like we were sitting around the table playing Dungeons and Dragons, but it is not.
Right.
It is not nearly as complex as Dungeons and Dragons. So if you enjoy the tabletopness of a Dungeons and Dragons, but don't have the head or have younger kids, that was the other thing. And I've said it before. It's like, you've got me, a Baldur's Gate 3 fanatic. You've got my wife, who is like a casual game player who enjoys going hard on a Stardew Valley or an Animal Crossing, but has never played Gloomhaven or D&D or any of that. And then you've got a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old. One of them likes to play, shitty mobile games on a phone. The other one wants to just shoot people in the face in Fortnite. All these people, we have nothing in common, right? I'm being silly, of course. We have very few video game preferences in common. And every single person in this family was like, Can we play more Thunderfolk? Can we play Thunderfolk?
Oh, I love that so much.
So good. And then, there's not much more to say about it that I haven't already said. But like, if you, we of our generation, anyone listening to this is like, use your phone as a controller. Like, that's not going to be good. And it's so good. Just to remind everyone, this is not turn your phone sideways and play it like a game controller. It is an app, and you put the app on your phone portrait style, and it is like using your thumb to move a cursor and selecting cards and stats and details in a beautiful mobile interface. Mm-hmm. And I cannot overstate how amazing, like, hey, I'm moving my thumb, I'm moving a cursor on my phone, and that movement is sending into my router, up to the internet, to the server where the game is being hosted, and then back down to my computer where the game is being displayed. And it is the most precise, crispy, like it is just, it's flawless. And I don't fully understand how they did this, but it is a technological marvel. And also, by the way, the game is great. Like it's a tactical turn-based RPG. And I think the magic of this game is that you can take your turns in any order. And that is the reason why every single turn becomes a discussion. In D&D, you have an initiative roll. So it's like, all right, it's my turn. And we're discussing what I'm going to do.
Right.
But it's my turn. And in Thunderfolk, it's like, whoa. Okay, if you go first, then you're going to do this, and that's going to set up this, and you're going to put flames on this guy. But if mommy goes first, then she's going to come over here and block this guy, blah, blah, blah. And there is like 45 minutes of discussion before we even decide who goes first. And look, if you don't have the patience for that, then that can be a bit of a slog. But
But if you're into it, and you're enjoying it,
it's great. My only complaint with Thunderfolk is that there's not more Thunderfolk. The campaign is meaty, and it lasted us. We did it very casually over the course of a couple months.
Okay, so you were
just because we were just getting 4 people with busy lives and schedules and bedtimes and school and homework together to sit down for an hour. It takes a little time.
Sure.
So it took us a couple months to get through the campaign, but that sort of casual slowness was really, really wonderful. And I wish and hope that they come out with more campaigns or more characters. I would be thrilled to throw money at DLC. And what I would really love to see, which they've sort of dabbled with, is like, could they open the game up to community modding so that you could play the campaigns of other players? sort of Mario Maker style.
Yeah.
That would inject so much lifeblood into the game. And I don't want to speak out of turn. They have done some of this, so it's not completely open, but they did something where they took the best 5 community mods or suggestions and bake them into something. I don't quite know. So they are starting to dip their toes into that, and I really hope they keep going, because our family would absolutely pay for and sit down with another good, if it was as good, another good campaign.
Another good campaign. Yeah.
Story and characters are fun and cute and interesting, but they're not blowing the doors off of any narrative world building or anything. That, you know, bad guys are bad, good guys are good. And
it's about mechanics. I feel like
can you beat the big boss? Yeah, that it is the game is about mechanics, and the story definitely is second fiddle, but and I think the voice acting is excellent because it's voice acted by one person. And the reason
the whole
for
game?
that, yes, and the reason for that is by design, I feel, because it is as if a dungeon master is sitting at the table, and when you encounter character A, they're like, "Oh, I'm character A." When you encounter character B, it's like, "Hello, I'm character B," and it is very organic in that way, and I think that's great.
Wow.
It's one woman doing all the voices.
I thought I recognized a voice in 2 of the characters.
Okay.
Like that, I'm like, oh, I think that's the same actress, but I didn't realize it was all of the characters. That's freaking
I'm pretty
amazing.
sure. Yeah, structurally, I think that's just really fun and cool. And a great way to, I suppose, I don't know, keep the budget and the scale of the work in proportion to what the indie development is of the game.
Yeah.
And also to not kind of fall back on or rely on other methods of, generating voices for games. This is one really cool actor just doing it all, and it's great.
Yeah, you blew my mind a little bit just now. I did buy the full version on sale.
You did, I know.
During the winter.
So what was your experience?
Sale.
How far have you gotten? I know you were enjoying it, but I don't know how far you got with it.
I think we are maybe at the 6th or 7th battle.
Yeah, you're in it.
Hit a point. Yeah, we did hit a point where we were like, okay, we're failing this battle multiple times. We need to come at it differently. So we would change. And one thing I really like is that you can be like, okay, I'm playing a mage or whatever. And then you can be like, that's not really working. I'm going to try a new character. And so it makes it so easy rather than just like leveling into a character and then being like, oh, I need to start with a level 1 mage or whatever. It's just very smooth and seamless. So I really liked that. But yeah, we're hitting a point now, I think, where the difficulty is going up and we have to talk more, because I feel like in the beginning, they're kind of just showing you the way it works.
Right.
And now we're like, oh yeah, we really do have to think carefully about what we're going to do here in order to actually succeed at these battles.
My question, I'm curious, for 2 players, are you / does the game require you to play as 4 characters, or can you do the campaign just 2 people? You can
do the campaign just 2 people, but after dying multiple times on one fight, we actually both decided to play it with either 3 or 4, where we were both controlling multiple characters. And it made it much more doable, in my opinion. I mean, it did still scale up in difficulty.
It must scale up. It has to, yeah.
But we both were like, oh yeah, that's the way. Like, you need another, with the amount of it. The one we got stuck on, and I'm sure you probably remember, it was the one where the creatures kind of like beef up and level up like in the middle of the fight, and like they get much more strong. And so
there's usually mechanics that are like, if you prevent these creatures from getting stronger by destroying the crystal or something, and so then it becomes this push-pull of like, well, I could just go hard against this guy, or I could kind of nudge around the back and destroy the crystal so that he doesn't get stronger later. And it, again, just becomes this rich conversation about tactics at every juncture.
Absolutely. And, that's so interesting too, because we talked about this when you first praised the game. Tactics is not something I typically play. And I think that somehow, some way made this feel so incredibly approachable. And I don't know my tactics space enough to be able to compare. You do, but I don't. So for me to be like, I feel like I can play this and I can really enjoy it and I can enjoy the tactics was unusual, I think, for me, because one of the only other tactics games that I've enjoyed a lot over the past couple years was Demio, which was originally on VR, and then they made a PC version,
which I own both, and I need to get in
hard.
there. Yeah,
it's brutally hard though. Right. Like that was my difficulty about Demio was, the way you were talking about the frustration of Hades earlier. They didn't at first have save states. I think now they do have saves, so you can you can be in a campaign. Excuse me, and you can it can have 3 stages to get to the end, and you can beat the first stage and then save. So if you die, you can replay starting from, I already beat the first stage. But previously, that wasn't the case. So you could get to the third stage, be killed by a really difficult fight, and then be like, I gotta fucking do it all over again from the first.
Difficulty is difficulty, and games should be challenging, but punishing you all the way back to the beginning, that's a recipe for rage quitting.
For me it was brutal. So when they added that, we went back to it. I will say this, it was super fun in VR because you saw your hands as gloves, kind of old-fashioned medieval gloves, and you would reach in and move your characters,
moving your miniatures around. Yeah, man.
Yeah, or you'd move your board like this, and you'd be like, I can get down and look right close to my characters, or I can have a bird's eye view. So for me, it was a lot of fun to play in VR. I haven't played it really in its PC iteration that much, but we had a lot of fun with it at one point in time. We would have to plug our headsets in because we would play it so long that our headsets would die. And so we had to have plugs for our headsets be able to play it long enough.
Set VR aside for a moment. If I wanted to play Demio, for example, and I don't know if it has couch co-op. How were you playing it online?
We were playing it together at home,
but how?
And
on
then
separate machines?
We were playing it. So yes, actually it does have online because the two of us would play it in our headsets at home, and then sometimes we had a third friend join from his house and play with us. So yes, it did have.
So I'm looking at the Steam page. Single player, online co-op, cross-platform multiplayer. So this is a great example. My family might enjoy a game like this. In fact, we are starving for another tactics game that would be as accessible as Thunderfolk, and I cannot find it. We have tried a few other things, and we can't quite get there. But Demio, for example, it's let's set aside the VR and let's set aside its punishing difficulty.
Right.
In order to play this game with my family, we would need 4 computers and 4 copies of the game and blah blah blah. Whereas Thunderfolk is just scan this QR code and we're all in it together.
Right.
We're all in.
It makes it so easy. And I think that's part of what makes it so approachable and successful. Yes, that works. I was thinking about this.
But you have hit it. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, I was thinking about this recently because I went to a Christmas party a Christmas Eve party where we played one of the most recent Drawfuls from you don't know Jack, and they use that same system where you just log in with your phone.
Yep.
And it makes it so helpful and easy for everybody. So I think that really is what helps so much in this situation is just the use of the phone as the controller is kind of
100%.
Incredible.
This is every time a reviewer would write up about Thunderfolk, it was like, what if D&D meets Jackbox? And that's literally what it is. And then and the last thing I'll say, I think, and you really said it, but I just want to hammer it home. The ingenuity of this game is that the tactics systems are incredibly rich and deep and versatile. And my 9-year-old son had no problem jumping in and playing with us.
Right. That is not, in my opinion, not easy to pull off.
It's incredible.
Either we needed to get good or Demio was just really hard. But when I read
most tactical games are hard. They require reading and testing and studying and build and deck building and Sunderfolk, it is not a deck builder, but your spells, your loadouts and your skills are cards. And that's one other thing you kind of alluded to, which is like, okay, I played as the wizard, the mage, and you can, the builds are not as dynamic as Slay the Spire or Magic the Gathering or anything, but based on which cards are in your deck when you go into a battle, I had one version of my character that could be very all about teleportation. So I could teleport myself to certain areas in order to be within striking distance or evade. And I could teleport my allies around the map in order to bring them into key positions.
Nice.
But if I swap out those cards, my other build could totally be about generating clones of myself. So so it's like I'm going to attack and then jump backwards, and then that's going to create like two like holograms of my character so that enemies will attack the clones instead of attack me or my allies. And those builds are two radically different play styles within one character. And I had to kind of choose my play style and get good at the play style I'm choosing in order to support the team. And again, I just think the richness of that is so incredible. And the fact that everyone in my family could get on board with it was like, how did they do this? I can't find another game like this.
Yeah, that's definitely a standout part of it for sure. So really glad you suggested
that you played it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to play it more. We're going to play it more, which is nice because my husband and I can also like actually enjoy playing it, together.
It's so nice to play together,
which is a great thing.
Okay, I think it's time. Mm-hmm. I don't know if the world is ready, but we're going to have to force it.
Yeah, it's going to be a real shocker, I'm sure.
This is Colette Bennett's number one goatee of 2025.
Claire Obscure Expedition 33.
I did not see this coming.
Yes, I know. It's a complete mystery. I was thinking about it and I was like, I don't know if there's really a lot I can say about the game that I haven't already said on the show before. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to get into all that, but I will say that
the UFO ending of this game is so good.
I will say that it was both a nostalgic and an elating feeling to play what I consider to be a pretty straightforward, typical RPG, JRPG style, again, and enjoy it so much, even though there were things about the battle system that weren't perfect for me, even though there were things about certain parts of the game that dragged for me. I think in the end, music, story, and performances really brought it home for me on this one. So perfect, certainly not, but has engraved itself on me in a way that few games have over my, 40 plus years of game playing. And I'm so glad it exists. And I'm so glad that there will be more entries into this Claire Obscure world. Mm-hmm. And
that's 100% confirmed. Like they really are working on the next prequel or sequel or whatever that's going to end up being.
Yeah, they have talked about the I can't think of his name right now. I can see him in front of me, but the French guy who's like one of the key directors on the game has said that the Claire Obscure universe will be expanding.
Right. That's okay. Right. That was
yes,
the quote.
It definitely will. I would love to see certain parts of the story really expanded and dug into, especially with the Clea, the family's like the elder sister. And with like the writers and the painters, like I think there's so much there that I would love to see, like, what does that war really look like? The this is what the story I think that stuck with me the most all year. That I just
stuck with me
couldn't.
the most, and I didn't even play the fucking game.
You didn't even play the game. So, yeah. And it's funny, right? Because it's like it's a bit weird when you're making your own list and you're thinking like, oh, this is like everyone's game of the year. But I can't.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, and I can't make it. I can't have some cool left field answer when this is just simply my answer. Like I watched a game of the year list from a YouTuber that I really like, and she had like multiple games. This was on her list, but she had multiple games on her list that I'd never fucking heard of, and I was like, I love that.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it was, and it was
that.
like,
That's nice.
it's always fun to like learn something completely new that you missed during the year. But yeah, for me, this was obviously it was just going to be the same as a lot of other people's number one game of the year, and that is okay because it's a superlative game. So
I want this to be a movie so bad.
I mean, it's not impossible. It's not impossible that
it's not impossible.
It could be.
But I'm immediately thinking like, okay, so then does that become a live action movie, or is it better as an animated movie? Because if it was animated, you could cast the same cast. But if it was live action, the ages and the looks of the voice actors won't really match the story characters, and thus you would have different actors playing them, and that's not inherently a bad thing, but obviously the people involved in this project are superlative, and so that would be a shame. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, I think either way it would be, live action or animated or whatever, it would be great to see this story in another form that even more people could enjoy. It is, I think, it has, more than one big twist, and there's quite a lot going on there, but I feel like I could see it because I think there's a hunger for like science fiction and like fantasy right now that has been really.
Or is it a series? Is it an HBO series, or
maybe
Disney Plus?
I mean, we've seen games reimagined in ways that have really worked. I think like Fallout and The Last of Us have been like
that's what
absolutely
I mean.
Like wow, like they killed this, so.
And there's something
so
about,
nice.
Hey, this game is 45 hours long of the story. And granted, a lot of that is like, I'm doing this fight over and over again. And that's fine. That's video games. But like,
sure.
Though that games like these have such enormous stories that they are better served as series rather than cramming it into a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that has worked incredibly well for the shows I just mentioned, and I could see that working really well here. I do know that with the amount of success they had, with the money they made, and because the budget was not enormous like it is on a lot of AAAs, I think that they are going to be approached by a lot of people for a lot of ideas.
Absolutely. And I wish to be a fly on that wall. I would love to understand if a movie studio knocks on your door and says, we got to have this. What's it going to take? Like, what does that conversation look like? And what,
I don't even know.
What could it become? And what, how does that work?
I get the air from the people that made this game too, that they were so in love with the game that they never really thought beyond, well, what happens if the rest of the world's in love with it too?
Oh, yeah, like, no doubt. No doubt.
It was clear they had poured their heart and souls into this game, and they just wanted it to be in the world, and they hoped other people cared about it an iota as much as they did. So It is interesting to see them reacting kind of to what they're getting, because they do not act like people who expected it.
No, because as we've discussed here, it's like it is the most insanely risky. Making anything like this, a video game or a movie or whatever, is an insanely risky startup business. Every movie, every game is a startup that has to come together from a funding and employment point of view. It has to make or break a studio. Mm-hmm. And if it flops, then it's like, well, we're done. And if it pays the bills, then they can keep going. And if it's a hit, then it's like, whoa, you enter a new world of business possibilities.
Yes.
So like, hey man, let's scrap together $10 million to make a game about French grief or some whatever. Like that's the dumbest fucking business idea I've ever heard. And yet, here we are.
And yet here we
are.
The
Clariverse is upon us, and I want a TV show. I want more games. I want whatever we can make out of this. So,
same.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Or you just Bill Watterson it up and say like, nope, nobody touches this except us, and we're just going to make the things we make. Nobody can license it. Nobody can movieify it. We are just going to be our own thing.
I personally would prefer that because I feel like this is one of those things that I would just really like to see it stay intact.
It can just remain intact as a pure entity, creatively and wholly controlled by its creators. Yep. But you're in such a position of power. I don't know how these kinds of deals works. I have no insight into them, but I think it's like, well, this is the hottest game of the year, certainly of the last 3 to 5 years. So like if someone wants to come at me to make a movie or license this game, I have all the power. I can simply say, nope, and send them packing, which will then in turn allow them to say, okay, no, you have complete creative control. You can veto anything we say. We're going to throw X more money at you. And so like the version of the agreement and the contract can be very favorable to you, I think. But I don't know.
It's possible, but it's just, I think it's difficult because you always risk whether or not they will really understand the heart and soul of what you made.
Right.
And like, to bounce back to Silent Hill for a minute, it is my opinion that after Team Silent stopped making Silent Hill games, no one understood that universe until Silent Hill F, which is a huge gap of time, decades.
Totally.
So I do think it is a huge, huge risk to take. But I, in my imagination, where there's a movie and it's live action, I think that it would be so cool to see Robert Pattinson play Gustav because he looks just like him anyway. And also, I think that Robert Pattinson has just been doing better and better roles for quite a while now.
Doubt.
He's just really great to watch.
How old is he now?
I'd love to see that. I don't know, probably in his like 30s somewhere, I think. I guess. I mean, I feel like Twilight was a long time ago. How old
it's
is
so
Robert
funny because he's 39.
Okay.
So but he's a very handsome movie star, so he can play 33, no problem. We're good there. It's so funny to me because the millisecond I booted up the game, my wife was like, "Is that Robert Pattinson?" I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I don't see it.
Some people see it and some people don't.
I get it. The jaw, I understand, but my brain does not go there.
Yeah,
but obviously he would kill as this role.
He would kill. I'd love to see that. So
I just would get sad to not hear Jennifer English voice the character.
I know.
Because she cannot become a 16-year-old girl on a screen. I don't think that's the right call, but
no.
This game without her, or this movie without her voice feels wrong. But obviously they'll find someone right for it.
If they do it, if that's what they decide to do. I mean, these are people who obviously really cared about sticking to the integrity of a project. So I do not think that they will sell themselves to the highest bidder personally.
No. I trust them to do it right. But I guess I'm rooting for them to do it. I want it to, because this, when we were talking about it and I finally kind of watched the story play out, because again, I could not play this game. I hated playing it so fucking much. And then I was recounting the story to my wife, and I was like, it occurred to me in real time that I was like, oh man, this story is so amazing and important, and only nerd ass dumb fucks like us who play the game through are going to experience it. Yeah. And that's not enough people. So this has to become a movie so that the rest of the world can actually understand this thing.
That's fair.
And this is a delicate rope to walk, because like I'm saying, like the world deserves to see this, but if they fuck it up, then that's bad. If they sell it to the wrong people or poorly execute the miniseries, which is very possible, even with best intentions, then that does a huge disservice to the IP.
Yeah.
So that's tricky.
It is very tricky. I don't envy them right now, because on one hand, it's like the euphoria of we did the thing and everyone loved it. But then there's so what bigger, better thing are you going to do now? And it's like, ooh,
yikes. It's the Hades 2 problem. Mm-hmm. Hades 2, an extraordinary game that nobody's talking about. Because
they're really not. And
Hades 1 changed the world, and Hades 2 is also Hades.
Yep. True. Yeah. So that's it. That's my game of the year list. But we have one to go.
One more to go. There it is. My number one game of the year 2025 is Arc Raiders, of course.
It had to be.
This game has ruined all other video games for me.
Fuck.
And it's actually kind of a problem, because I'm having trouble finding other things to play.
I hate when that happens.
It's tough. I know that you understand what I'm saying. It is the best multiplayer game I've ever played. It is the most emergent video game I've ever experienced. There are the gameplay loops and the player interactions and the wider culture that has emerged out of this thing is so extraordinary to me. It's very affirming, you know. It is millions of players coming into a style of video game and saying, you know what? Let's just not kill each other. Let's just work together so that we can all do this awesome stuff. And that I will never get over how cool that is. And even though I'm sort of, it's not really an end game, but I'm in a mode with this game, having put probably 130 hours in and having reset my character progress for the season. And now I'm kind of like replaying it again, but I'm sort of in a modality where it's like, I'm really just like doing things to unlock like cosmetics and sort of, they call it trials, which is vaguely a battle pass, but it's more interesting than that. So I'm in a sort of chill end game mode where it doesn't necessarily matter what I do. I'm just sort of ticking certain boxes that matter to me and sort of chipping away at the next expedition where I will reset my character again in 2 months to get a cool hat, you know? Mm-hmm. And even then, I am finding that I will load in and just be like, whatever happens, I'll just do this or that. And I never know what's going to happen. A really great example of that is a couple nights ago I was playing, and the trials are structured in a way where it's just like, hey, this week you gotta kill a lot of these enemies and do damage to these enemies and harvest a lot of plants. And the more you do and then safely extract, having done those goals, the more points you get for the week. And when you get enough points for the week, if you've gotten more points than 100 of your other peers, you will rank up. And then we'll do it again next week with different challenges. So, and just to put a pin on that, it's not about, I need to find this amount of loot and bring it home. It's I need to do this amount of actions and safely extract in order to get the points. So if I do those actions and I die, I don't get it. And that is the sort of risk reward of doing that. So in this example, one of the challenges was do damage to one of the most challenging enemies in the game, which is called a bastion, so many of the enemies are these small drones that will hover around you and you got to like hide from them and shoot them. But a bastion is a big fat ass robot spider guy who's on like 6 legs, and he will zone in on you. I don't think it has missiles, but it has like this machine gun. And so if you're in the crosshairs of a bastion, you are almost instantly dead unless you have cover. And you need weapons that will penetrate its armor because it is heavily armored. So I loaded in with like one type of heavy ammo weapon that does one shot at a time, and then you got to reload. And I brought a few grenades, and that's about it. Loaded in, and everyone in the player base is doing these same goals. So I actually loaded in on map, and multiple times it was like, oh, everyone's trying to kill this bastion. And I'm sort of like, maybe I'm getting a few shots off, but it's dead within 2 minutes, and I don't really gain a lot of progress because I've only like shot it 3 times.
Right.
But in this one time, I was in an area where I was alone. No other players were around. I found this warehouse where I could hide behind a wall and sort of pin the bastion down. And so I'm kind of like coming out from behind the wall, shooting once, ducking behind the wall, getting inundated with this machine gun fire, but I'm covered. Duck out again, throw a grenade, and I'm doing this for like 20 minutes. I'm slowly, one bullet at a time, chipping away at this enemy's armor and blowing up its legs, and like everything's physics based. So if I knock a leg off, it's sort of like kind of limps and kind of like catches on fire, and it's kind of limping around, but it's still attacking me. And so for 20 minutes, I am single-handedly taking down this thing, and I fully kill it. And I have a map, and I'm on a map, which is the cold snap, which allows me to get 2x the not experience points, 2x the trial points for doing this. So now I have gained tons of points in this particular trial for this week. Single-handedly, I've looted a ton of high-value materials from this enemy, and I'm like, I did it. Let's get out of here. There was one other player on the map who maybe got 1 or 2 shots off on this thing, and they were friendly, and we're like, all right, man, let's get out of here. We make our way toward the extraction point, and we cross through this warehouse. And in this warehouse are 2 tiny, minuscule enemies called ticks. They really aren't that dangerous, but they will jump on you in the dark. And so I have used up all of my bandages, which are the healing items. So I have about half of my health, but I have no way to heal myself. I'm moving through the warehouse, and all of a sudden I hear this like squeaking, which is those little ticks, and I'm like, oh, fuck. And this other player who's trying to extract with me gets attacked by these ticks and gets downed. He's down. And I hear him on the voice chat. I'm like, hey, man, help me. And I'm like, I'm not on voice chat, but I'm doing an emote that's like, I'm sorry, because I have no bandages for myself, and I have no reviving items for him or bandages for him. And 2 of these ticks are creeping around in the dark, and I have no fucking idea where they are. And I'm like, sorry, dude, I got to get out of here because I'm not physically holding loot, but I am in possession of tons of points for doing this challenge. And if I do not get out of here,
you're gonna lose
I will lose everything. I make my way out the door. The ticks follow me out. I am now in the cold with very low health, and I'm actually hit a wall, a physical wall where I'm like, fuck, I got to go around this wall to get to the extraction point. Ticks jump on me, which chips away at my health. I'm fighting them off, but here's the kicker. I'm out in the cold, so what I would normally do is like stop what I'm doing and figure out where these little fuckers are so I can kill them so they will stop chasing me. But if I stop moving, I'm going to be standing out in the cold too long and probably die. So in this final split-second moment, I'm like, do I stop and kill these things or do I make a run for it? And if it was a clear path, I would just run. But because there's a wall in my way, I'm like, fuck. I took down a bastion with my bare fucking hands and won it all. And these fucking little teeny spiders killed me at the last second.
Son of a bitch.
None of this was planned. None of this was expected. I did everything right and still failed. And I know that sounds frustrating. And it was. I was fucking pissed. But it was so intense and so exciting, and I had so much to gain and so much to lose. And the fact that I took down the strongest enemy and got killed by the weakest enemy in the same run is this game.
I think it's interesting that you could tolerate that frustration because everything about the game works so well for you and makes you happy and elated and interested. But in a Hades, you couldn't tolerate frustration.
Right.
It sounds like it's actually lesser. So I don't think it's about necessarily... I think it's about all the right elements coming together.
It truly is. I cannot overstate how just well designed. It's just the design is so extraordinary in this thing. You know how you play games and you're like, oh my God, I love the combat and I love the art and I love this, but
there's one thing.
This part's so annoying and I just got to get through it and it sucks, but the rest of it's so good. There is not a single loop or element or environment or map or pixel or gun that is not good. Every single thing in this game has a purpose, and not only does it have a purpose, but it's like, I could use this thing to level up my workbench, or I could use this thing to go on, throw. I could sell it for money, or I could put it into this expedition, or I can rip it out of a dead robot and throw it at another player to summon other robots to like descend upon them and attack them because they're up my ass. Like, there are things and systems and strategies that I see in the Discord and the subreddit that I'm like, I played for 130, 50 hours, whatever it's been. And I'm like, whoa, you could do that? That's a thing? Like, and I have since spent, $15 to get the deluxe edition, which gives me the premium currency because the outfits, because the game is so social, I find it so compelling to unlock sick clothes. And because, again, the aesthetic is this retro future Star Wars Mad Max vibe, I just think like the most recent skin in the shop is this long trench coat with jeans and like this like very flat looking shirt and a cool helmet. And I'm just like, yeah, I want to be that guy. And now now I'm that dude. And it's just like everything. Everything about this game is great. I'm sort of taking a little break because it's just like, it's just too much. Like I'm just doing too much of it. But in my search for other games that have social interaction, and is it an MMO, but it's not, but is it squad based? Deep Rock, Helldivers, Sea of Thieves, like all these games. I love all these games, but there is just something about Arc Raiders that is so extraordinary. It pulls the best out of all those things and puts it into one thing. I am so excited for what, like this team is incredibly devoted to whatever's next. They recognize what they have. They recognize that player feedback is going to be the lifeblood of this, and that community and community play is the future of this game. And so whatever maps and missions and enemies and whatever else is in the future of this, I do feel like they are really honed in on making. They have said as much. They're like, we want this to be a vibrant world for the next 10 years, as a live service game. That is our goal. And that's very hard. So we'll see. Lots can happen over the 2026. But
hasn't No Man's Sky done that? It's been 10 years and No Man's Sky, hasn't it?
Absolutely. I think there are parallels, but like this is the goal. The point of this game is a live service game. Like this game can't really exist without the live element. And No Man's Sky definitely has that, but No Man's Sky is like, hey, we added new content. Now you can build your own ships. And it's like, whoa, I am gonna spend 30 more hours building my own ship because that's cool.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter if 100,000 players are also building their own ships. I'm just building my own ship. And if I see other players in the community hub, that's cool. But I can't play Fortnite unless hundreds of thousands of other players are also playing Fortnite. And Arc Raiders is that. So you have to really keep people plugged in to the systems. And again, I'm not just blowing smoke. Like there are consistently people posting about this game where it's like, holy shit, Helldivers was so popular, and then like now it's kind of medium popular. Battlefield 6 was like, oh my god, everyone's playing Battlefield 6, and now the player numbers are dropped way down. Arc Raiders is one of the rare games where the player base is pretty much the same as it was at launch in terms of pure numbers.
That's pretty
impressive. And that's unprecedented for a live service game. It's unbelievable. And it is truly because in the design of this game, you have short-term goals that make my play really fun, of like mission to mission. And then you have these extraordinary long-term goals where I am constantly chipping away at things for the future. And every time I load in, I'm having fun, making progress, and feeling good about the future of my goals. That's the magic of this, and I cannot overstate how well designed it is. So that is the show. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us, for listening, for sharing your games of the year in the Discord, what you've been playing and what you've been excited about. And lots of folks have just been saying really kind things about these conversations that we've been having. So we appreciate and love all of you and your input. Full stop. And we hope you join if you're new here, we hope you join the Discord and hang out with us. Oh, we're still giving away video games. Every day in January and maybe slightly beyond. Cheshire 48 has been giving away his extra, just this like deep well of just Steam keys that are floating around his library. So lots of like you may think, oh, okay, some random indie bullshit Steam key. No, we've got some big fat.
There's some good games,
good shit in there. Yeah. So, well, I will say. The entry for that is closed. We are spinning the wheel on the entrants that have already entered, so that is closed. But it is really fun to see that wheel spin and see who's going to win what game. So we're going to do more of that in the future. So if you are listening to this and somehow not in our Discord, please hop on in because free video games might be in your future if you do. So get in there and hang out with us.
That's true.
Final thoughts for 2025.
What a year. What a great year for games, honestly, in so many ways, so many different ways. A year that was fucking sack of shit in reality was luckily in the video game space rich. So I look forward to this year. I look forward to what will come. I look forward to what I can't even imagine might be coming, just like Expedition 33. Couldn't imagine that something like that was coming. But yeah, really looking forward to seeing what's coming next. So positive vibes.
We'll talk to you then. Thanks, everybody.